Hi, my name is Paul Siddens, and I'm an emeritus professor and former department head of the Department of Communication and Media at UNI. During my over 30 years at UNI, I worked with Phyllis Carlin in the Performance Studies program and the UNI Interpreters Theater. We were also next door neighbors in our offices at Lang Hall. It is an honor to have known Phyllis and to have spent time with her as a mentor, colleague, and friend. I miss our conversations on all sorts of topics very, very much. She is profoundly missed by all who knew her, from her students to her colleagues, and especially her family, who she loved and adored. Phyllis made countless contributions to the department, college, university, and discipline. She was recognized universally as a great teacher, scholar, creative artist, mentor, role model, and person who was taken from us far too early. One of my favorite memories of Phyllis is her presence in department meetings. She could always be counted on to provide the voice of reason, and she brought a steady, gentle hand to all the conversations we had in our meetings. We were all blessed to have her with us for the time that we did. Thank you, Phyllis, for sharing with us your grace, dignity, and kindness. You are missed.
Place and family. Hi, everybody. My name is Claire Williams-Vavra, and I was a student of Phyllis's all through graduate school at the University of Northern Iowa. Phyllis was an incredible woman, educator, and wickedly funny. One of the many teachings that still sticks with me even to today was the significance she put on place and family. As a class, we would have enthralling conversations and tying literature into understanding place and having a place, and not just a dwelling or somewhere to go, but in a sense of belonging. And she also emphasized that context with family and the importance of heritage and legacy. Her classes taught me to cherish every single moment we have with family and to be present, to understand that any moment is just that, a moment in time and something you cannot get back. To this end, I'd like to introduce you to somebody. This is my great-grandmother, Marie Overgag, and she just turned 100. And this year, actually, she lives out in California. This is my great-grandfather, Hank. And unfortunately, Hank passed away just a couple of years ago, and they had just celebrated their 70th wedding anniversary. So we went this summer to California, which was awesome. It's warm, to celebrate her 100th birthday among tons of family and friends that I hadn't seen in years or had never met. And she got to meet both my toddler daughter, who also carries her name, and so her great-great-granddaughter. And then we also got to share with her our great news of expecting another Christmas baby yet this year. So I always like to think that just like Phyllis would have recommended, I've been collecting letters from my great-grandmother. I started writing her handwritten notes years and years ago, probably 10 or 15 years ago. And I keep them. I keep everything from the envelopes that have her beautiful handwriting on them to the actual letters that she sent over the years. You can see there's many. And you know, these of course are my favorite, where there's really rich stories she tells about who she is and her legacy and her place in this family. And I loved and continue to love learning about my great-grandmother. But, you know, I keep these things and this correspondence from her and cherish them deeply. And not just the content, but for things like her beautiful handwriting, cursive you just don't see anymore. And the happiness she writes about when she responds to when I sent her pictures of comings and goings of our life out in Iowa, when she doesn't have social media or a laptop. So, I mean, it's those pictures, they tell a story, and I share stories with her on the back of each one. But I think about Phyllis when I think about place and family, and why I keep what I keep, and trying to be present any moment that I have with family, extended or otherwise. And when I do think about place and family, and the legacy that Phyllis left, I'm reminded that those are the moments, these are the moments, and the letters that I'll read to my children about their great-grandmother and her legacy. And To that end, I will miss Phyllis dearly. We had lots of conversations about place and family and other things. And I will forever remember her teachings and carry them with me in my own legacy throughout my life. Thank you so much.
I want to give a tribute to Dr. Phyllis Carlin, who was my colleague for many, many years at the University of Northern Iowa, and also was my neighbor in Waverly, Iowa. Dr. Carlin never claimed the word mentor for me, but for me, she was a mentor and the ultimate colleague. I realized early on in my career as an assistant professor at the University of Northern Iowa how much I needed her and needed someone like her who had such integrity and such wisdom that she could, and compassion, that she could speak into the life of most anyone and they could be transformed if they listened to what she said. One of my earliest memories was when she came in to observe a class of mine, and that was the way that our teaching was looked at as assistant professors, and we were observed. And I remember not feeling good about that particular class and thinking, I wish I had a chance to do a redo. And I decided that I would take the risk. I didn't know Phyllis really well at that point, but I decided I would take the risk and go down to her office and just talk to her a little bit about my concerns about what happened in the classroom. I think at the time, if I remember right, I was doing mainly a lecture and not really having the students engage very much. And if you know Phyllis Carlin, she was known for getting students to reflect deeply and engage in ways that they were transformed and changed. And so I asked her if I could, just told her kind of what was going on for me. And I asked her if I could do a redo. And she was so gentle. And she said, of course, I would love to come observe your class again. And she gave me some feedback that I asked her for. And it was wonderful because I got to then begin to see I could learn from this wonderful colleague, this wonderful professor. Over the years, we had multiple conversations about the challenges that she had faced being a female in the academy when that wasn't what was the majority or the norm at the time. And then we would come after faculty meetings in which things might have been a little heated. I would chat with her and talk to her, and she would be able to give some wisdom and ideas of how I could go about maybe being a little bit more collaborative, a lot more collaborative in the way that I was looking at things, and to look at things and to look for the third story of other people's perceptions and their experiences. So I am grateful today for this opportunity to be able to be part of this tribute for Phyllis Carlin, who has been such an influence in my life. And although she's gone on, her physical presence is not with us, she is still with me every day when I go into the classroom and when I am working with students and with other faculty who also may be needing a word of advice or wisdom that could be given in a compassionate way. So thank you for those of you who put this together for this wonderful, wonderful human being.
My name is Jen Freitag, and Dr. Phyllis Carlin was my teacher and mentor. There are two things that come to mind when I reflect on my many interactions with Phyllis over the years. And the first was her capacity to really see people and the wisdom that she would impart based on her capacity to do that. The second was the way that she modeled focusing on what is most important in life, and that is people. I think that she certainly did this in her research within communities that were dealing with lots of crises situations. She certainly really connected with us in the classroom and research projects. And perhaps most importantly, she really modeled for me the importance of prioritizing the relationships with the people who are closest to you in your life. So I thought I would share a song that I think embodies her area of research, but also invites us in to think about the importance of relationships in the midst of the challenges that we face throughout our lives. The song is called Trouble in the Fields by Nancy Griffith. Baby, I know that we've got trouble in the fields when the bankers swarm like locusts out there turning away our yield. The trains roll by our silos, silver in the rain. They leave our pockets full of nothing but our dreams and the golden grain. Have you seen the folks in line there downtown at the station? They're buying all their tickets out and talking the Great Depression. Our parents had their hard times 50 years ago when they stood out in these empty fields and dust as deep as snow. There's a book up on the shelf about the Dust Bowl days, and there's a little bit of you and a little bit of me and the photos on every page. Now our children live in the city and they rest upon our shoulders. They never want the rain to fall or the weather to get colder. And all this trouble in our fields, if this rain can fall, these wounds can heal. They'll never take our native soil. But if we sell that new John Deere, then we'll work these crops with sweat and tears. You'll be the mule, I'll be the plow. Come harvest time, we'll work it out. There's still a lot of love here in these troubled fields. You'll be the mule, I'll be the plow. Come harvest time, we'll work it out. There's still a lot of love here in these troubled fields.